Hi there, welcome to another video. So let's get started with the quote of the day. It's going to be Psalm chapter 23 verse 1. The Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing. And it's a pretty short quote today, and the topic we're going to cover today is going to be returning values from functions. Let's get started. So in PowerShell, functions can return values in multiple ways. You can explicitly use the return statement, or simply output data as a PowerShell can automatically return anything output during a function execution, which is we're gonna cover some examples. So let's start with our first function. So we'll multiply some numbers. So just remember we have to put out, this is our function name, and we're gonna create, let me just comment this out. Okay, and this is our code block, and then we're gonna put some parameters. So this is how you open your parameter block, and I don't know if you watched the last video, but this is how we declare the functions that we want, sorry, the parameters that we want in there. So we're gonna put the type as int. Okay, don't forget to put the comma, and then we're just gonna put two input values that we want there. And that's it for our parameters. Now we're gonna put the actual logic. So we're gonna do return. This is how we use the return statement. A multiply by b, and this, let me just put a comment here. So this is our explicit return. So this is how you use the explicit return. So we use the word return and then the actual logic that we want to use. So how are we going to call this function? We are going to use, let's try, then we use the function name, multiply nums, and then remember it's looking for two values. So that's the first input parameter, and then b is the second one, which will be 3. So remember, when it's set as an integer, you don't need to surround it with quotes, so that'll be acceptable. And now we want to write our answer, because remember, it's not going to print out the answer like that unless you put a print statement. Okay, and we could just put something here. Alright, so let's give this a shot. And we're checking out the explicit return. Okay. Oops, it's supposed to be multiply. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. It was not supposed to be there because the logic is in here, so that's where I went wrong. Let's try it again. So it's good to see where you may do some wrong pieces and you troubleshoot. So the result is 21. So this is how it will look like using the explicit result return. And yeah, so that's how you use it. So maybe you want to know how to do it. Maybe you could also do return maybe on a conditional side. So you could even return it a lot earlier. So let's try that. So let me change this up a little bit. Okay, and we'll do even check. and this A will be num, which represents number. Let's remove, so we'll just have one input parameter there. And then what are we doing? We're going to check to see, let's put the condition in here. Then we're going to check and see if it's equal to 0. So we're checking for even numbers. Alright, and then we're going to use the return statement here. And then we're going to put our else statement. Okay, so we kind of so we're checking for like even number checks, and then so let's change this to even check, and then remember it's going to accept one parameter, which is num, and then let's put 4. Try it out. So result is number is even. Alright, so 4 is even. Let's try 5. Yep, number is odd, so it's working correctly. So that's how you can use like the return to exit a function early, you know, based on a condition. So that's one way you could do it. That's another way you could do it. Let's kind of look at like implicit returns, which is like an automatic output. So for example, like if it's a function that outputs something, you know, like when you do like write host, you just simply by having, you know, like an expression that produces like a result, that could be like it is like automatically returned. So that behavior is like similar to like how scripts kind of work with commands, and like when it does output values. So let me demonstrate that. It's pretty very simple than in this example, so I'll use the same one. And okay, and then I'll just put num2. And don't forget, when you have multiple parameters, just make sure you separate with the commas. And then let's just do sum check, sum test. Alright. And then we're going to put the logic here outside the parameters section. So it'll be num, and it will be plus num2. So that'll be like an implicit return, like we kind of discovered on the first example. But notice that we're not going to, you know, set it to any results there. So we're going to actually call the function here. So it will be sum test. Okay, and then it will be num, and then num2 should be 7. Okay, and then this is where we do the write host. So let's try that out. So you see, it worked correctly. So even though there's like a no return statement, the function outputs like the sum, like it outputted the sum of like num and num2, right? And that's how the output is returned like when you're calling scripts. So you can see how it's being done without any return statements, and that's what they call the implicit return. All right, so let's say you want to return multiple values, right? So let's try that example now. So we'll use our same function here, and we'll just change this to maybe multiple vals. And what we're gonna do is gonna do a return, and kind of like a list or array here. So we're gonna do num2. All right. And then we are going to do num plus num2. So we're going to get like an array of values coming out now. All right. And then let's set this up. So we're going to get multiple values. So we're going to put the function name, multiple vals, and then we set our num and num2, which we'll keep that way, but that's how you set it up there. And then, so now let's see what happens. You should get back multiple values. So multiple vals of num and num2. So you get 3737. And the example kind of returns the array of the containing values of the num and num2 and their sum. Okay, so you may be wondering, well, we didn't get the 10 before, so let me just show that again. So let's see. So you see how we got 3737? So if you look up here, it's supposed to return 37 and then 10. So what happened here was it's not detecting the plus, saying it as like a plus sign. I mean, as a doing like an addition is what we want. So we should have gotten 10. So what you need to do is you need to surround this by itself with the parentheses. So now it will calculate this to get 10, and then we'll have 37. So let's try that now. So that was the mistake I made on my side. Okay, and there you go. So let's make sure you put that, since we're doing like an actual addition there. Okay, so don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's end this up with our quote of the day, which is going to be Psalm chapter 23 verse 1. The Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing. Don't forget to read your Bible, and if you're not going to church, try to find a good Bible-based church. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you.